welcome to the newest episode of the Honey Pot Podcast. I'm your host, Carmen Hendricks, and I took the lid off the pot today for the lovely Nakilah Shannon. I know that you're going to enjoy her. Before we get started, I want to make sure all of our listeners remember to subscribe to our podcast so that you will receive notifications for all things Honey Pot. We are available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Please search for Honey Pot Podcast. And now we have our Marriage Minute by My Marriage is My Brand expert, TeKenya Johnson.
Marriage in the real world is a lot of things, but truthfully, it isn't always happy. Statistics say that 1 out of 5 marriages will succeed while the other 4 will probably end in divorce, all because couples don't know how to communicate with one another. Most couples only spend about 30 minutes talking within 7 days with one another, and that isn't enough. Most spend little time talking to one another, maybe because of work obligations. One works outside of the home while one is on the inside nurturing for children, or maybe they both work outside of the home, maybe on different shifts, and so they're bypassing each other every day. Or maybe the children are taking up most of their time and spending quality time with the kids. And so mom and dad, the husband and the wife, they never come together to actually spend time in communicating with one another. But most couples need about 16 hours per week talking, communicating about their future, about their marriage, their vision, and for their legacy. Communication is very important, and it is an integral part of how the spouse express their emotional needs that need to be met within that marriage. Communication is necessary, and it's for our everyday problem solving. It's for our financial planning. It's for our time management, child discipline, and for conflict resolutions. And so the more enjoyable and safe our conversing is, our tone has to be right, the environment has to be set in order for us to express to each other or for someone to listen to what we need. And so within marriage, we know that marriage is a partnership and it requires mutual agreement on issues in order to be successful. So your marriage minute this week tip is communication is key.
Now, let me introduce today's guest. Nakilah is the tell it like it is, honest girlfriend that every woman needs and can relate to. Her witty delivery style allows the tough issues to be addressed in a manner that makes it easy for her audience to understand, and she gives real solutions to everyday problems. Nakilah is relevant and relatable. She's an inspirational writer and speaker who enjoys being a humble ambassador for Christ. Sharing the testimony and lending a helping hand to other women as well as her community is her life's purpose. Through her leadership and ministry at Hagar's Foundation of Hope, Minister Nakilah meets the needs of local single mothers and women by empowering, encouraging, educating, and edifying them even during the most devastating hardships. As a mother of 3, she knows firsthand the difficulties single mothers face. With a commitment to serve, she offers the community wisdom, encouragement, and supportive resources to help individuals meet their personal goals in life. She is the author of 7 Days to Pray the Single Away and Why Smart Girls Do Dumb Things and the Guy Who Loves Them. Welcome, Nakilah. Is there anything that you'd like to tell our audience about you that I haven't already mentioned in your bio?
Well, I'm not quite sure. I just basically help smart girls stop doing dumb things. That's who I am and what I do. And I'm also a literary midwife, helping other people birth their books and their dreams. So, there's a lot that could be said, I guess, but I think you pretty much covered it all. So
I love that, literary midwife. That's awesome. How did you come up with that?
really just thought about what it is that I want to help people do, which is to birth their books and birth their projects. We always use birth as we always use that when we're talking about our dreams and moving, and having something new and moving into something new. And so I thought about a midwife. The midwife is there not to do the work for you, but to help you get the job done. And that's exactly what I do. I don't do the book for you. I make you do the work, but I'm there to make sure you get from conception all the way out to presenting your work to the world. So just like a midwife, I help you push that book on out and help you present it to the world. So
Okay, now you wrote, like you said, Why Smart Girls Do Dumb Things. What made you write that book? Tell us about it.
that book it was a lot of experience. First off, a lot of us are very smart women. We're very intelligent, book smart. We're beasts in the boardroom. We handle our household, but we do really dumb things. And so God had put it on my heart a long time ago to write the book, but I had to do a lot more dumb things apparently for material. And so what God did with that book and helped me do is to take the Bible, which we always think is outdated and antiquated, and the things that we do today. So I took women from the Bible who are going through some of the same issues that women today go through. So I talked about low self-esteem. I talked about like baby daddy drama, baby mama drama. I talked about side chicks. I talked about just all kind of different topics that we deal with as women today. But I went back to the Bible and found women who had experienced the same thing, date rape. I talked about all of that. And so it pulls the Bible back to being relevant in our lives. And it also helps us see how we can forgive ourselves and why God forgives us, and kind of bring some of those mistakes that we make up to the forefront and how can we get over them.
So you're deeply rooted in your faith. What's your favorite passage in the Bible and related to your book?
My favorite passage, I would have to say, is all things work together for my good. I say that all the time. And as far as the book goes, no matter what mistake I make, no matter what I find myself doing, God is going to forgive me, and all things are going to work together for my good. So there's no mistake too big for God. And there's only one person in the Bible who didn't overcome their mistake, and that was Lot's wife. Of course, she turned into a pillar of salt because she wasn't obedient, but that was the only time. So as long as our dumb mistake doesn't lead to death, that means that God is going to work it out for our good, and he'll find a way to bring us through that. So that has to be my favorite.
Okay, so you have a book entitled 7 Days to Pray the Single Away. That's an interesting
Yes.
title. How did you come up with that title? And also tell us about that book.
Yeah, that was my first book, and really it was birthed through my relationship issues. It was me and two other friends, and we were all in different places in relationship. I was hurt coming out of a relationship. One was couldn't find a man if you paid one, and the other one was just fooling with dumb people. And so it was just put on my heart, let's just take a break. Let's just stop talking about relationships because we getting on each other's nerves, and let's take like a 7-day fasting period. And then during that time, God was like, if you pay attention, I'll do something for you. It was his exact words. So every day he gave us a different principle to go over. So we talk about why you want to get married, your why for marriage, being prepared for marriage, talk about submission. And then on the fourth day, we fast for our sister. And her future relationship. So let me back it up a little bit. It's a partner book. So what we ended up doing is we partnered up with each other, and we had a prayer partner. And so we had to take that 7 days. We couldn't pray for ourselves or our relationship issues. We only had to pray for our sister and her future relationship. And so each day we had a different principle. And on the fourth day, we fast and we pray for her future relationship. And then on the last 3 days, we fast and pray for her man, which really is a test of your faith, because you have to pray for somebody else's husband, future husband, and you don't even know what's going to happen with yours. And so we talked about praying that they can fight temptation, that he loves her like Christ loves the church, and that he knows how to lead a household. And so at the end of the 7 days, you may not find a man, but you will have prayed the single away, because now you no longer focusing on yourself anymore. You focused on somebody else. You got back on focus mode, and you can move forward at that point. And so that's how you pray the single away. And so it was really birthed from real life pain and experience, and there was a book. So
Those are the best books.
Yeah.
Books that come from experience, they are the best books. Tell me what is the takeaway that you want people to have when they've read either one of the books, if they read Why Smart Girls Do Dumb Things or 7 Days to Pray the Single Away. Give us a takeaway from each one of those books that you really want people to have.
From the 7 Days to Pray book, the takeaway that I want them to have is, you know, it's you're not in it alone. And that's the beauty of the book, is that it's a partnered prayer devotional. A lot of books are self-help books. This is a help book. And the main thing I want you to understand is you're not alone. And that's one of the main issues that we face when we're single. We feel lonely. We feel like nobody understands. We feel like we're all by ourselves. But by having a prayer partner, now you've brought somebody in with that journey with you, and you've taken responsibility for praying for her. So I really think that that's a big takeaway. One of those hidden nuggets from that book is that now you realize that you're not alone, and you can celebrate somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's really fun to see women celebrate other women coming up to their relationships, and coming into their future relationships. And Why Smart Girls Do Dumb Things, the takeaway is no matter what you do, no matter what you find yourself in, is that God still loves you. And all it takes is forgiveness of yourself. God already has forgiven us. It takes forgiveness of yourself and the desire to move forward. And if you do that, we can overcome any of those mistakes.
Mm. So now you have a radio show, and you do it now on Facebook Live. Tell us about your radio show and how you birthed that idea.
Let me tell you. So my radio show is called Speak On It, and I happen to do it with my honey. We got engaged last year, so
congratulations.
Thank you. So I've been listening to the books a little bit. They work. He's a great guy, and we tackle relationships and love and life and everything in between. And I had already done that kind of stuff before he and I got back together. And the backstory is we were middle school sweethearts. So he was my very first boyfriend. And then we were all in love. It was Nikki and Stacy all day long. And then we separated. You grow up and all that kind of stuff. And so like 20 years later, here we are back together again. And so we just take we had two totally different paths while we were apart. So we just bring those experiences, and we talk about, like I said, love and relationships from a male and female perspective. It was really birthed because I was like, okay, I need to get back on the air. I need to get back busy. I was all in love and taking time to cultivate that relationship. I was like, okay, I got to get back busy. And first he kind of started, I thought he would kind of be in the back, a little bit. He was quiet. But now Mr. Majors is all over the radio show. So we just have a fun time with it. We crack more jokes in a little bit, but our motto is that we keep it fun, keep it real, and keep it aligned with the Word of God. So always fun, always jokes, but we tackle some really serious issues as well.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. What is one piece of advice that has been given to you that you carry with you throughout life, that you use in your daily experiences?
I think the piece of advice, and I don't even know if it was an exact piece of advice, but what I saw was my mom's face. Faith carries me day by day. It only takes a little bit, but it goes a long way. And that's what carries me through, and that's what I try to teach my kids, teach women that I come in contact with. You have to have faith that all things will work together for your good. And so no matter what it looks like, as long as you got that mustard seed of faith and know and can stand on that word of God, then you know that everything is going to work out. And so that's probably the best thing that's ever been given to me advice wise, is have faith.
So I'm sure through your radio show and in your books and speaking to others that there's one person or a few people that whose lives you have touched and have come back to you and told you, hey, this really touched me. This really touched my spirit. Tell me about one of those instances where that has happened to you.
Yeah, I would say that now, the women who have been there with me when my ministry was strictly for singles, And a lot of us have gone through the 7 days to pray. We do it like a detox. And so I've spent a lot of time in prayer with a lot of different women for their relationships and mine as well. So I'm having a lot of them come back now because they're entering into relationships, good relationships. And so one in particular, I went to her wedding last summer, and she got married, and she, publicly thanked me on Facebook. It's all about God. This is God stuff. I'm just relaying the message, but it was just beautiful to see that she, had faith in what God said through me, and it worked. And she was happy, and she was in a healthy relationship, and she, thanked me for it. And it just humbled my spirit because, I'm like, it's just me. I'm just Nakilah, you know. But it just really humbles me, and it humbles me to see the women who are now going into relationships and getting engaged and getting married that have read the book, that have gone through the process. And so it's just humbling to me. And then, living out my own relationship from the people who knew us back in high school, because we were kind of that couple, football and cheerleader type deal. And to see them encouraging us through the relationship now. So it's also humbling in the relationship area, because that's where I've been so heavy in my books and ministry. So
yeah, because relationships now, they have taken on a whole new meaning. People are now using the internet today. People are using Facebook today. People are, social media has become an avenue that people are using, and not necessarily for good. They're using it just so they can, find somebody. A lot of people don't have your best interest at heart. Of course, we know that. And that's just true in everyday life. But technology has taken on such an important role in our lives that it has taken away from the actual human interaction, So how, with that in mind, how do you combat that when you're talking to other people about living in your singleness and searching for your mate or waiting for your mate?
Well, I think with all things, just common sense. You know what I mean? Just using good old-fashioned common sense, whether it's the internet or you meet them in the grocery store. I say you never know who you get, regardless. Whether you meet them through technology or social media, whether you meet them at Walmart, and you just don't know. So at the end of the day, you have to use the same method all the way across the board. Use common sense. Do your research. Do your homework. Don't be so in love on the first day. Don't jump right in. Take some time. Google them. I encourage that. Google the people before you bring them in your heart, bring them in your home, and things like that. And so, that's my number one piece of advice is good old common sense. So
yeah, I was watching a movie. Actually, I was watching it this morning, and I think it was entitled "How to Be Single." And it's funny that you said that, because in the movie, the girl's friend told her, you get so lost in a man that you lose yourself and you don't know who you are, because whoever it is that you are with that person. And then I think about the movie with Julia Roberts, Runaway Bride. She was engaged all those times, and with every man, she adapted to who they wanted her to be instead of just being herself. I think that's something that we face now in society, that people are not really just being true to themselves and who they are. So if you have someone that comes to you that's in that space, what would be your advice to them?
I do see that a lot. I see that in women a lot, and I've done it a lot. As well. And so my main thing is you got to stay connected to who you are. And where I feel like, I don't think I'm so much different in this area, but my main focus when it comes to relationships is self. Know who you are, know what you want, know what you expect, know how you want to feel and how you believe you should be treated before you even get into the relationship. So when you find the relationship, you are dead set in who you are, you are dead set in what you want, and they can't sway you to be somebody else because you're already, firmly rooted in who you are. And so that's really the approach that I try to take when it comes to relationships, taking care of yourself first, so, those fingers pointing back at you. And then once you are ready and prepared in who you are, the relationship part will be easy, and then you won't find yourself adapting and becoming these different versions of a female version of the man you're trying to date, basically.
Yeah. Okay. So what does 2018 have in store for you? What can we expect from you this year?
Well, this year, so this is wedding year. So June, I'll be walking down the aisle in the sense, actually doing it way big, on the circle in our city in Indianapolis. So
Wow.
so that's the main thing. So I'm really excited about that. Also doing more conferences. I wrote a free ebook called Three Reasons Why You're Still Single. So doing a couple of webinars based off of that. Really, us taking the radio show to the next level. We're going to move into another studio area, so we'll be able to do, more date nights. Just really take the show to a whole nother level. So that's my main focus. Really, our main focus is to take the radio show to the next level and begin to develop out a couples ministry here soon. Once we go ahead and say I do, then it will move more into a marriage ministry as well. So
I love the fact that you guys are doing it together. Actually, I know someone that I can introduce you to who also has a marriage ministry, and she's been doing it for quite some time. Her name is TeKenya Johnson. So I will definitely connect the two of you so that you all can work together, because I know that you all could probably do some really great things. She's on Instagram as My Marriage Is My Brand, and you would really like her, I think. Okay. So
thank you.
No problem. That's what I'm here for. Okay. So here's the question that I ask everybody, because I think it's one of the most important things that we have to ask ourselves. What does success look like to you?
Well, my image of success has changed a little bit as I matured. Success to me is really living my best life. Not so much as money. Those things are nice. Yes, the house and the car and the money, those things are nice. But really just living a life to where every day when I wake up, I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is that promised land that God been talking about all them years. And so really that's where I'm at when it comes to success. I would, love for the blessings of the when we see, the money and the cars, and I don't even know if I want that many cars, the money and, the business being prosperous. And, I will definitely want to get my message out to as many people as God will allow. But having a home that I can come home to every day, a man that I can come home to, and kids that we can come home, that act halfway right. To me, that would be success. That is success. So, and I love more of that personal touch. I'm finding that I'm striving for more of that personal family success right now in life. So
grown people goals.
Yes. Now we want some money to pay the bills now, when you take some trips and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Lord can bring that on. But it's just and I was actually telling my honey this today. It's so weird. I said I am so satisfied. And not that fake satisfied that sometimes we feel like, oh, we still looking for something here. No, like satisfied. Like I wake up and I'm like, this is good. I don't have everything, nothing. It's still some stuff falling apart. But I wake up and I'm like, yes, God, this is wonderful. So
okay. All right, so now we're at the segment where I ask you what's in the honey pot, and that is your music playlist. We want to know what it is that inspires you, because music is, music to me is life. I listen to music for almost everything. So what's on your playlist? What's in your honey pot?
I am so sad. I don't even have a good playlist, my playlist can probably go from I don't know, Yolanda Adams to trap music or something. It just depends on where I'm feeling at that moment. Right now I've been listening to a lot of love songs. So I would tell you the one song that is just in my heart and I've been singing is Majors. This Is Why I Love You. Mm-hmm. So I've been playing it over and over because our last name is going to be Majors. And so we're gonna play it in the wedding. And so I've been listening, and so that's where I'm kind of at. I'm kind of in that love field. You know, I'm all mushy right now. So
yeah, I love that song. I do. A lot of people
I
don't
had
even
never heard it, so till now.
Really? It's old. It's been out for, I know, at least a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody said it to us as a joke. Oh, you guys should have play this at your wedding since you'll be majors. And, you know, you should play this at your wedding. And I listened and I was like in tears. I was like, this is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Have you seen the video yet?
Yes, it's so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that song. I invited him to come and sing it for us. So, you know.
Well, you let us know if he makes it.
I sure will.
Let's see, it was a play, and I want to say it was because it was on TV. It was a play that had, was it Loretta Devine? I can't think. But anyway, he sang the song in the play. He sang that song in the play. It was on TV. Yeah. But that song has been out for quite some time. Well, you know how it is when people are kind of up and coming. Their songs have been out 2-3 years before the masses kind of catch on. So, yeah. Okay. So is there anything else that you would like to tell our listeners and our viewers before we leave the show?
Sure. You can find me on social media, and if you like my fan page, for Nakilah Shannon, I do have a link to my free book out there. For 3 reasons why you're still single, and just to encourage people to, watch our show after they've watched your show. They come and watch our show on Sundays at 7. And you can find us on Facebook Live and all those good things. And so, I just really want to also encourage to say this little nugget to women. To my sisters, don't be ashamed about wanting to be in a relationship. God wants to hear your request. He says pray about everything. And don't be ashamed about that, and embrace it. Be prepared for it. Look for it. Expect it. And then when God blesses you with it, enjoy every minute of it, regardless of who got something to say about it. If you do the work and you do it right, God will bless you with exactly what you need to have. And I just want to encourage them. I think it's a lot of single shaming. Especially in the church, all you need is Jesus. Well, sometimes you want somebody to take you on a date too. So, until Jesus start passing out dates and back rubs, you probably want a man. So you need to be prepared for that, and don't be ashamed to ask God for that. He wants to fulfill the desires of your heart, and to be ready for it, and God to do just what he said he'd do. So that's my little nugget of encouragement.
Okay, well, we are so glad to have you on the show. First, congratulations again on your upcoming nuptials. I wish you many years of happiness and love. And just thank you again for coming on, being here, letting people get to know you and letting them into your life. We appreciate having you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And can't wait for more opportunities to connect with you. So
Definitely. You now have a new friend in me. I tell everybody this. Look, you're not going to get rid of me now.
I feel the same way. So we stuck.
All right. And now for today's Carmenism. There is a lot to be said about the woman who is strong enough to know what she wants. I remember a story about a woman who couldn't understand why she was alone. She was told she was not ready, that she had not prepared. So she began to pray. She began to get her house in order. She began to stop parking in the middle of her garage so that she could make room for someone else. And once she was ready, her love found her. This is true in life. We must all prepare for what we want, no matter what it is. And the first step is knowing that it starts within you. I want to thank our audience for taking the time to listen to the Honey Pot Podcast. I'm your host, Carmen Hendricks. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and like us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram using the handle at Honey Pot Podcast. You can also find me at CarmenHendricks.com. That does it for today's podcast. I'm putting the lid back on the pot. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.